For 12 long years, they slammed every door in my face. For 12 long years, they whispered my name like a curse, warning others not to work with me, making sure I never got a seat at the table. They thought they buried me, but what they didn't realize was that they were only planting a seed. And now, after all that time, after all their schemes to destroy me, they had the nerve, the audacity to come crawling back, begging for partnership. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just revenge, this was justice, and this is how it happened. It all started over a decade ago. I was younger then, ambitious, hungry to prove myself. I had ideas, bold ideas, ideas that threatened the comfort of people who had been sitting at the top for too long. Instead of encouraging me, they labeled me as too risky. Instead of giving me a chance, they spread rumors saying I was difficult to work with. One by one, projects slipped from my hands, calls stopped coming, invitations disappeared. People I thought were allies suddenly avoided me, afraid of being associated with my name. I watched as doors slammed shut, not because I wasn't good enough, but because they were afraid of what I could become. Blacklisting isn't just about losing opportunities, it's about losing your identity. I remember nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if my career was over before it even began. Friends turned cold. Colleagues pretended not to know me. My name, once spoken with respect, became a warning. I felt invisible, erased from the world I had worked so hard to enter. But deep inside, a fire was still burning. I refused to believe that this was my ending. I decided, if no one would open the door for me, I would build my own house. So I started. Small, very small. Projects no one else wanted, opportunities others laughed at. But I gave them everything I had. I worked harder than anyone else, sharpened my skills, studied, experimented, failed, learned, and rose again. Slowly, people started to notice. Slowly, whispers of my name returned, not as a warning, but as a story of resilience. They tried to erase me, but I came back sharper, stronger, unstoppable. Every no they threw at me became fuel for a bigger yes I gave myself. Years passed. My small projects grew bigger. My work started speaking louder than the lies they spread. New people entered the industry, people who didn't care about old grudges, people who only cared about results. And my results were undeniable. The same. People who blacklisted me now had to sit in rooms where my work was displayed on the big screen, where my name was attached to success they couldn't ignore. I was no longer begging for scraps. I was creating opportunities. And that was when everything shifted. The ones who blacklisted me, their empire wasn't as strong as it once seemed. They had relied too much on politics, too much on fear, and not enough on innovation. While they played dirty games, the world was moving forward. And when they finally realized they were being left behind, when they saw me building what they could not, they panicked. And in their desperation, they did something I never imagined they would do. They reached out. To me, I'll never forget that meeting. The same faces that once sneered at me, that once whispered my name like poison, were now smiling, pretending we had always been friends. They spoke of collaboration. They spoke of partnership. They tried to spin history, saying, "We always knew you had potential." I sat there listening, almost laughing at the irony. For 12 years, they shut me out. And now, when they realized I was the key to their survival, they wanted in. Part of me wanted to slam the door the way they once did to me. Part of me wanted to savor the sweet taste of rejection on their tongues. But then another thought hit me. Why give them that satisfaction? Why let my story end on bitterness? Instead, I smiled. I listened carefully. And I made my choice. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of power, because the truth was clear. I didn't need them anymore. They needed me. So I leaned forward, looked them straight in the eyes, and said, no, not with anger, not with spite, just calm, cold certainty. Because true revenge isn't destroying your enemies. True revenge is living so well, succeeding so loudly that they choke on their regret. Walking out of that room, I felt lighter than I had in years. Their empire was crumbling, and I didn't need to lift a finger. My existence, my success, was enough. Now when I look back, I don't feel bitterness anymore. I feel gratitude. Because if they hadn't blacklisted me, if they hadn't pushed me down, I might never have found the strength to rise the way I did. Their betrayal forced me to create my own path, and that path led me to everything I have today. So if you've ever been shut out, if you've ever been told you're not good enough, remember this. Sometimes rejection isn't the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of the greatest comeback you'll ever write. After I walked away from that meeting, word spread quickly. People started whispering, but this time, the whispers were different. No one was warning others to stay away from me anymore. Instead, they were warning each other about the fall of those who once tried to bury me. My refusal to partner with them became a symbol, a message. Others who had been silenced, others who had been pushed aside, began reaching out to me. Suddenly, I wasn't just one person fighting for my place. I was part of something bigger, a quiet revolution against the old guard. The same people who once mocked me were now forced to watch as I became the face of a new wave of change they couldn't stop. But success doesn't erase scars. Even as I rose higher, there were nights when I lay awake, replaying the pain of those lost years. I remembered the humiliation, the loneliness, the countless times I wanted to quit. Sometimes I questioned if my drive to succeed was born from passion or from the wound they gave me. And I realized something powerful. The past doesn't vanish. The ghosts of betrayal still linger. But I had a choice. I could let those ghosts haunt me, or I could let them guide me. Every scar became a reminder, not of weakness, but of survival. They tried to define me by exclusion. I chose to define myself by endurance. Instead of begging for a seat at their table, I built my own. And this time, I didn't keep the doors shut. I welcomed others who had been ignored, overlooked, underestimated. Together we created something they never could, a space fueled by ideas, not politics, a place where talent mattered more than connections, where innovation was celebrated, not feared, and the results spoke for themselves. Our project soared higher than theirs ever did. Clients, investors, and audiences shifted their attention. The balance of power was changing, not because I destroyed them, but because I built something better. As our success grew, their desperation became almost pathetic. They tried copying our work, but imitation never beats originality. They tried undercutting us, but our reputation spoke louder. And eventually, they tried playing the victim, telling anyone who would listen that I was unfair, that I was holding a grudge. The irony was almost laughable. For years, they shut me out without mercy. And now, when the tables had turned, they wanted sympathy. But no amount of excuses could erase what everyone saw with their own eyes. Their empire was crumbling because they had built it on arrogance and fear. Mine was thriving because it was built on resilience and truth. One day I was asked if I regretted saying no to them. I thought about it carefully, and then I answered, no, because their rejection gave me freedom, their betrayal gave me fire, and their downfall gave me peace. The truth is, I don't need their approval anymore. I don't even need their apology. My life, my work, my legacy, that is my answer to everything they ever did to me. So let them beg. Let them regret. Let them choke on the irony of it all. I am no longer the person they tried to blacklist. I am the proof that you cannot bury someone who was born to rise. And that, in the end, is the sweetest victory of all.